She was everything I ever wanted in a woman. Her name was Emily. Blonde hair, soft voice, and a laugh that made my chest feel lighter. She had this gentle way of talking, like she wasn't trying to impress anyone, just being herself. And somehow, that made me fall for her even more. I met her when she was working as my secretary. It started with small talk, coffee breaks, shared jokes, little smiles when our eyes met during meetings. I didn't plan to fall in love. It just happened. She was the first girl I ever really gave my heart to. The first girl I ever made love to. The first girl I ever let in. But now, she was giving me a choice that felt like tearing my soul in half. Her or my mother. She didn't say it gently. She didn't sugarcoat it. She looked me straight in the eyes and said, "I'm tired of always seeing your mother around us. You take her everywhere. Conferences, events, business dinners, even our trips. It's like I'm dating the both of you." I stared at her, confused. "What do you mean?" She folded her arms. "You always include her. Always. And honestly, I'm sick of it. She's in the way. I want space. I want us to build something of our own, not with her in the middle of everything." I felt like someone had poured ice water on my chest. My mother? The woman who worked 3 jobs to get me through school? The woman who almost died from exhaustion just so I could wear a cap and gown? The woman who never asked for anything but gave me everything? She wasn't in the way. She was the way. But Emily didn't see that. Not anymore. She leaned forward and said the words I never thought I'd hear from her. "It's either me or your mother. You have 7 days to think about it. If I don't hear from you, it means you've made your choice." Then she walked away, and I just stood there, frozen. I didn't go after her. I couldn't move. My heart felt like it had been slammed shut. I sat down on the edge of my bed and stared at the floor. 7 days. How do you choose between the woman who gave you life and the woman who made you feel alive? That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept turning over in bed, staring at the ceiling, listening to the quiet hum of the refrigerator in the kitchen. My phone buzzed twice. Emily. I didn't open the messages. I couldn't. My mind kept going back to the past. To my mother. To the way she used to tuck me in with tired hands and kiss my forehead like I was her whole world. To the day I found her passed out on the kitchen floor, too tired to even stand. To her eyes the day I graduated, how they filled with tears when I held up my diploma and whispered, "This is yours too." She never asked to be part of the spotlight. But people loved her. They invited her to speak at events. They cried when she told her story. She inspired so many, not because she was loud, but because she was real. And I was proud to take her everywhere with me. Not out of pity, but out of honor. But Emily didn't see it that way. She said my mother made her feel second. She said no man should be so tied to his mother once he becomes successful. And I understood in some small way. Maybe she wanted her own space. Her own light. But why did that have to mean pushing my mother into the dark? The next few days were hard. Everywhere I went reminded me of them both. At work, I kept seeing Emily's desk, empty now. At home, I saw the plate my mom used the last time she had breakfast with us. I missed Emily. God, I missed her. I missed her laugh, her touch, her scent. But every time I remembered the words she said, "It's either me or your mother," I felt a whole tear open inside me. Was this love? Or was it control? On the 4th day, I called my mom. She picked up on the 2nd ring. "Hey, sweetheart," she said, her voice warm like always. I didn't speak right away. She waited, then gently asked, "Are you okay?" I swallowed hard. Not really. She didn't ask what was wrong. She just said, "Want to come over for dinner?" I nodded, even though she couldn't see me. "Yeah, I'd like that." That evening, she made her famous chicken pot pie, the one she used to make when I was little and scared of thunderstorms. We sat at the table in her small kitchen, the one with the wobbly leg she kept forgetting to fix. I told her everything. About Emily. About the ultimatum. About how torn I felt. She didn't get angry. She didn't tell me what to do. She just reached out, placed her hand over mine, and said, "Whatever you decide, I'll still be here. I always have been." And just like that, I knew. I knew exactly what I had to do. On the 7th day, I woke up early. I showered, got dressed, and walked into the spare room where Emily used to keep some of her things. I took out a box. Gently, carefully, I placed every one of her items inside. Her sweater, her books, her perfume bottle, the small framed photo of us she kept on my nightstand. Then I closed the box and wrote her name on top. I picked up my phone and called her. She answered quickly, like she had been waiting all week. Her voice was soft. Good to hear from you. I take it you've made your decision. I have, I said quietly. She smiled through the phone. I could hear it in her voice. Good. I'm glad you finally came to your senses. So she won't be joining us anymore. I took a deep breath. That's not why I called. Silence. Then she said, What do you mean? I'm calling to let you know your things will be delivered to your place tomorrow. They're already packed. What? You said if I didn't agree, it would be over. So I'm saving you the wait. I won't choose anyone over my mother. Not now. Not ever. Are you serious right now? I loved you, Emily. I really did. But no woman who loves me would ever try to erase the woman who raised me. She started to speak again, but I cut her off gently. I'll be blocking this number after this call. If we cross paths again, let's act like we never met. Then I ended the call, and I blocked the number. I sat on the couch in silence. My chest ached, but my heart was still whole. Because I didn't betray the one person who never gave up on me. And that mattered more than anything. I whispered to myself, any woman who asks me to choose between her and my mother can never be the mother of my children. I stood up, walked into the hallway, and looked at an old photo hanging on the wall. It was me and Mom from my college graduation. Her eyes were shining with tears. Her arm was wrapped around me, and behind us was a banner that read, For every sacrifice, there is a reward. I nodded, and I said it out loud. My mom is irreplaceable. I will forever cherish her. That doesn't mean I won't love again. That doesn't mean I won't care for another woman someday. But this love, this bond, this story, no one will ever erase it. And no one will ever make me forget who walked through fire just to get me here. The next morning, I stood by the window, watching the delivery guy load the box into the back of his van. It felt strange. Final. Like closing a door I wasn't ready to close, but knew I had to. I didn't cry. Not because I wasn't hurt, but because there was something stronger than my sadness now. Clarity. I finally saw the truth for what it was. If Emily had loved me for who I really was, she would have loved where I came from. She would have understood that my mother wasn't just part of my past. She was part of my present, and she would always be part of my future. But she didn't want to share. She wanted to replace. And that's something I could never let happen. As the van pulled away, I turned from the window and sat on the couch. The room felt quiet. Too quiet. I picked up my phone again out of habit, then remembered the number was blocked. I still had pictures of her on my phone, but I didn't open them. Not yet. I wasn't ready to delete them, but I also wasn't ready to live in them. So I put the phone down, and I sat there, thinking. By lunchtime, my mom called. She always had that sixth sense, like she could feel when I needed to hear her voice. Hi, baby, she said. You okay? I took a deep breath. Yeah, I'm okay. She waited a second. You sure? I nodded, then remembered she couldn't see me. Yeah, I'm sure. She didn't ask anything else. She didn't push. She just said, I made your favorite stew. Come by later. I smiled. I'll be there. Her apartment was always warm. Not just in temperature, but in feeling. She had candles burning on the shelf, soft music playing on the old speaker I bought her, and the smell of her cooking floating in the air like a blanket. She looked up from the kitchen and smiled. There's my boy. I hugged her. Tight. Longer than usual. She didn't ask why. She just held me. We ate quietly for a while. The TV was on, but neither of us was watching. Then she said something that surprised me. I saw Emily yesterday. I froze. My fork halfway to my mouth. Where? I asked. At the pharmacy, she said. She didn't see me. But I saw her. She paused. She looked sad. I swallowed. Yeah, I guess we both are. Mom didn't speak right away. Then she said, she's a good girl. I looked at her, surprised. You really think so? She nodded. Yes. I think she loved you. But I also think she got scared. Not of you. Not of me. But of being in a space where she felt like she couldn't shine. I stayed quiet. Mom continued. It's not easy loving someone who already has deep roots. Some people want to plant a tree with you from scratch. Others want to grow beside what's already there. I nodded slowly. She said I gave you too much of my attention. That I was choosing you over her. Mom sighed. That's not true. But if that's how she felt, then maybe she wasn't ready. I looked down at my plate. What if I'm never able to give another woman the kind of space she wants? What if I'm always too tied to you? She smiled. That's not the problem, she said. The right woman won't see me as a threat. She'll see me as proof. Proof of how well you love. Proof of how strong your heart is. Proof that when you love someone, you stay. I felt my throat tighten. She was right, and I hated how right she was, because it meant letting go of the dream I had with Emily. That night, I couldn't sleep again, so I went for a walk. The city was quiet. The street lamps hummed above me, and the cold air on my face felt like someone trying to wake me up from a long, heavy dream. I passed by the bench where I once waited for Emily to get off work. The same place we had our first real conversation. The first time I made her laugh so hard, she spilled her coffee. I sat down, and the memories came rushing back. Her smile, her voice, the way she used to straighten my collar before a big meeting, the way she said, "I'm proud of you," when I launched my foundation, the way she looked at me like I was more than just a man, like I was her future. I missed her. God, I missed her. But I also missed me. The version of me that didn't have to choose between love and loyalty. Between a woman I cared for and the mother who made me who I am. I pulled out my phone. Opened our last message thread. I didn't type anything. Just stared at it. Then I slowly scrolled up, reading the old messages. The "good morning, love." The "miss you already." The "you're the best thing that's ever happened to me." It was real. Our love was real. But her demand, that was real too. And I couldn't forget that. I turned off the screen. And I whispered into the night, "I hope you find someone who fits your world. But I won't shrink mine to keep you." 3 days later, I was invited to speak at a national youth summit. They asked if I could bring my mom with me, again. "We'd love to have her share her story," they said. "It always touches hearts." I said yes without thinking. We flew out together. Just like always. On the plane, she looked over and said, "You sure about this? You don't have to bring me every time, you know." I smiled. "It's not about having to. I want to. You inspire people, Mom. You inspire me." She blushed a little. "You always know what to say." We landed in Chicago. They put us in a nice hotel, gave us VIP passes, and asked us to share the closing talk of the night. Mom was nervous, as always. But when she stood on that stage, holding my hand, and spoke about cleaning offices at night and serving food all day, the room went silent. People cried. People clapped. People stood. And afterward, a young woman came up to us with tears in her eyes. She said, "My mom raised me alone too. I was angry at her for never being around. But now I get it." That's when I knew. My mom wasn't in the way. She was clearing the way for others to heal, to forgive, to understand. And if loving her openly made someone walk away from me, then they were never really walking with me to begin with. That evening, I checked my email. There was one from Emily. No subject line. I hesitated, then opened it. It was short. I saw the summit online. "You two were incredible. I miss you. But I understand now. Thank you for loving me the way you did." That was it. No questions. No begging. Just honesty. I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I hit archive. Not delete. Because some memories don't need to be erased. They just need to be folded away, like old letters in a box. Proof that once something beautiful existed, even if it couldn't stay. The next morning, I woke up early. My mom was already dressed, sitting by the window with her tea. She looked peaceful. I sat beside her. "Can I ask you something?" I said. She nodded. "When you were my age, did you ever have to choose between love and family?" She sipped her tea, then said, "I had to choose between love and survival. I chose survival. Then I chose you." She looked at me with eyes that carried storms and sunshine all at once. "You can love someone," she said, "but if they ever make you choose between your heart and your roots, they don't really love you back." I nodded. Then we sat in silence. Together. And for the first time in a long time, I felt whole. The day after I sent her things back, it felt like a part of me had been ripped out. Not because I regretted what I did, but because love doesn't disappear overnight. I still loved her. Even if she hurt me. Even if she didn't understand. Even if she walked away first. The truth is, she was the first woman I had ever truly given my heart to after Mom. And losing her felt like something I couldn't explain. I had dreams about her that night. We were laughing again, walking in the park, talking about baby names like we used to. Then I woke up and remembered it was over. I sat on the edge of the bed, head in my hands. Did I make the right choice? I whispered to myself. I didn't expect an answer. But somehow my heart knew, yes, I did. I walked into the kitchen, and Mom was making pancakes. "Morning," she said, flipping one over. I made them extra fluffy. Thanks, I mumbled. She looked at me and smiled. Rough night. I nodded slowly. A bit. She placed a plate in front of me and sat down across the table. You still miss her? I do. She reached over and touched my hand. Missing someone doesn't make you weak. It means you have a heart. I looked at her, eyes filling again. I loved her, Mom. I thought she was the one. Mom gave a small smile. The one wouldn't make you choose. I nodded. Deep down, I knew she was right. After breakfast, I went to the studio. I had 3 speaking events within 1 week and needed to prepare for them. Ever since I graduated college, Mom and I had started doing motivational talks together. People loved hearing about our journey, how she worked 3 jobs in secret, how I made it to college, and how we turned our pain into purpose. Some people said we were inspiring. Others said we reminded them of what love should look like. But on that day, none of that made me feel better. Because I still missed her. One afternoon, I received a call. It was an unknown number. I almost ignored it, but something told me to pick it up. Hello, I said. There was a pause. Then, hey, it was her. Emily. My heart jumped. I stood frozen, not sure if I should be angry or relieved or both. You blocked my number, she said quietly. I did. Why? Because you told me to call only if I was ready to leave my mother, I said. And I'm never going to be ready for that. She was silent. I continued. I called you that day out of respect. I wanted you to have your things. I didn't want to throw them out or do something cold. I still loved you, Emily. I still care. But I can't pretend that what you asked wasn't wrong. I know, she whispered. What? I know, she said again. I was jealous. I've never had that kind of relationship with my mom. When I saw how close you were to yours, I felt like I could never compete. My chest tightened. It's not a competition, I said softly. I realize that now, she replied. But at the time, I felt pushed aside. I sighed. You never were. I tried to make room for both of you. I thought you saw that. I did, she said. But I let insecurity win. There was another long pause. Then she asked, do you think we could ever be us again? I closed my eyes. The question hurt, because part of me wanted to say yes. But the bigger part of me remembered the pain. The choice she made. The line she crossed. I don't think so, I said gently. Because if you really loved me, you would have supported the bond one have with my mom, not tried to break it. She was quiet. I'm sorry, she finally said. For everything. I forgive you, I replied. But I have to move on now. Goodbye then. Goodbye. The call ended. And so did that chapter of my life. The next few days passed slowly. I focused on work, on preparing for the next event. But the pain was still there, not as sharp as before, but still lingering like a scar that hadn't fully healed. Mom noticed, of course. She always did. She didn't say much. Just stayed close. Cooked more. Smiled more. Prayed over me when she thought I was asleep. That weekend, we flew to Chicago for a big event. Over 2,000 people were seated in a massive hall. The lights were bright, the cameras were rolling, and I was scheduled to speak after my mother. As we sat backstage, I looked at her. She was wearing a simple blue dress. Her hands trembled a little, the way they always did before speaking. Are you nervous? I asked. She smiled. Always. I laughed. You've done this 100 times. Still feels like the first time every time, she said. Then she looked at me. You okay? I nodded. I will be. She placed her hand on my cheek. You're stronger than you think. I took a deep breath. Thanks, Mom. A few minutes later, they called her name. She walked on stage to a standing ovation. She started slow, like she always did. Told the story of how she raised me alone. How she worked 3 jobs. How she cried silently in bathrooms. How she hid her pain just to make sure I felt joy. There wasn't a dry eye in the room. Then she said something that made me choke up. My son is the greatest blessing I've ever had. And when he chose to honor me, even when love asked him not to, I knew I had raised him well. The crowd stood again. She waved and stepped back. Now it was my turn. I walked on stage with tears already in my eyes. Good evening, I said. I want to tell you a story. Not just about my mother, but about what it means to love without limits. And I told them everything. Even the part about Emily. Not to shame her, but to show the world that sometimes love comes with hard choices. And sometimes those choices reveal who we really are. When I was done, the room was silent. Then applause. Loud. Thunderous. Endless. I walked back to Mom and hugged her. "I'm proud of you," she said in my ear. "I love you," I whispered back. And in that moment, I knew something for sure. I didn't lose Emily. I found myself. And I held on to the one person who never let me go. One morning, I woke up to an email from a journalist in New York. She said she had seen the Chicago clip and wanted to do a story for a national magazine. She said it wasn't just about the story, it was about the message behind it. She wrote, "In a world that pulls families apart, you and your mother remind people that some bonds are unshakable." I read the line again. Then I looked at my mom, who was still asleep on the couch in the living room. She'd fallen asleep with a book in her lap. I smiled. She didn't even know the half of it, how much people admired her. She just kept being herself. Simple, quiet, strong, humble. I walked over and kissed her forehead. She opened her eyes slowly and smiled. "You okay, baby?" "I'm good," I said. "Just thankful." That week, I got a message from Emily's best friend. I almost ignored it, but curiosity got the better of me. She said Emily wasn't doing well. She missed me. She cried a lot. She watched every video I posted, even the interviews. She still wore the necklace I gave her. She talked about me every day, but didn't know how to reach out again. I didn't reply. Not because I was angry, but because I had already said goodbye. Emily was my past. I was grateful for the memories, but I couldn't open that door again. If someone walks away from you because you chose respect, they were never really holding your hand in the first place. I prayed for her. And then I let it go. I was finally starting to breathe again. It had been almost 3 weeks since I last heard Emily's voice. I had blocked her number, removed her photos from my phone, deleted our old messages. But still, she found a way to live inside my thoughts. Some nights, I'd wake up with her name on my lips. Not because I missed her the way I used to, but because part of me was still healing from what she did. It was like getting burned by someone you trusted to hold your heart with care. One morning, I got a text message from an unknown number. "Hi, it's me. Please don't block this number too. Just hear me out." I didn't respond. I knew it was Emily. Later that day, I got an email. It was a long one, at least 3 full pages. She said she couldn't sleep either. That she had made a huge mistake. That she didn't mean the things she said that night. She said she missed me, missed my voice, missed my arms. She said she was lonely. Said she realized I was the best thing that ever happened to her. "I was scared," she wrote. "Scared of your love for your mom, because I never had that kind of love." That line made me stop. I read it again. "Scared of your love for your mom." I leaned back in my chair. Was that it? Was that the reason she asked me to choose? I had always known she didn't have a good relationship with her mother. She told me her mom was cold growing up. That they fought a lot. That even now they barely spoke. But I never thought that her pain would turn into poison. And now I was seeing it differently. Maybe her issue wasn't just with my mom being around. Maybe her issue was that she never learned what real, unconditional love looked like. And instead of learning, she resented it. She wanted me to push away the one person who had never betrayed me, my mother, just so she could feel more in control. And that scared me. What else would she try to control later? What else would she want me to sacrifice just to prove my love? I had thought she was jealous of attention, but now I saw something deeper. She was jealous of my peace. And that's dangerous. For 3 days straight, she sent new messages every morning. One said she wanted to meet up, just to talk. Another said she'd go to therapy, if that's what it takes. One even said, "I'll try to get closer to my mom. I'll fix it." But I didn't reply to any of them. Because deep inside, I didn't trust her anymore. I remembered how quickly she gave me an ultimatum. How easily she said it's either me or her. She didn't cry when she said it. She didn't even blink. She said it with her whole chest. And if someone can ask you to cut off your mother, someone who gave up her life to build yours, then they are capable of worse. Love shouldn't require betrayal. Love shouldn't ask you to prove it by hurting the person who raised you. One night, I sat alone in my room. Lights off. Phone in hand. I scrolled through our old photos. The trip to the cabin. The way she used to hold my arm when we walked. Her laugh when I said something dumb. I missed her. That was the truth. But I couldn't go back. Because I didn't miss the way she made me feel small just for loving my mom. I didn't miss the way she rolled her eyes when Mom sat with us at dinner. I didn't miss the awkward silence when I tried to include her in family talks. I remembered how my mom welcomed her, cooked for her, prayed for her, even bought her a gift last Christmas, a scarf with her initials. And Emily never wore it. She just said, "It's not really my style." That scarf sat in her drawer for 6 months untouched. I thought it didn't matter at the time. Now I realize that scarf told me everything I needed to know. 2 days later, I got a knock on the door. It was almost 10 p.m. I looked through the peephole. It was Emily. My heart raced. I froze. She stood there, hair tied back, eyes red, holding something in her hands. I think it was a photo album. She didn't knock again. Just stood there. I didn't open the door. I sat on the floor, back against the wall, and just breathed. After a few minutes, I heard footsteps, then silence. She was gone. I checked my phone. A message came in. I was in the area. Just wanted to say sorry face to face. "I'll leave you alone now." That was the last I heard from her. And I was okay with that. A few weeks passed. The weather changed. Leaves started falling from the trees, painting the ground with orange and gold. Mom and I took a walk in the park one Sunday. She wore a knitted sweater and had a cup of warm tea in her hand. I kept stealing sips when she wasn't looking. She laughed. "You know you could just buy your own," she said. "I know," I smiled, "but yours tastes better." We walked slowly, watching kids play, dogs chase squirrels, and couples hold hands. Then Mom said, "You've been quiet lately." Not in a bad way. Just thoughtful. "I've been thinking about Emily," I admitted. She didn't say anything right away. "She came by," I added. "A few weeks ago." Mom stopped walking. "Did you talk to her?" "No. I couldn't. I didn't trust myself." Mom nodded. Then she said something I'll never forget. "Son, I know it's hard. I know she meant a lot to you. But sometimes, the people we love aren't the people we're meant to build a life with. And sometimes love is just a lesson, not a home." I felt a lump in my throat. She continued, "You did the right thing. I'm proud of you." "Thanks, Mom," I whispered. We walked again. And this time I felt lighter. That night, I sat by the window and looked up at the stars. I thought about love, how it can lift you up, and how it can break you down. But most of all, I thought about the kind of love I want in my life moving forward. A love that doesn't ask me to shrink myself. A love that celebrates my roots, not cuts them off. A love that understands. If you really want to know me, then you have to understand the woman who made me. Because I'm not ashamed of my mother. I'm proud of her. She is my foundation. She is my history. And anyone who can't accept that doesn't belong in my future. I never thought I would hear her name again. It had been months since that last message from Emily. Since she stood at my door and waited in the dark. Since I ignored her texts and blocked every number she used. Since I made peace with the decision to move on. And then one day, my mom knocked on my room door with a look I couldn't read. She was holding her phone in her hand. "Son," she said softly, "I need to talk to you." I sat up from my desk and looked at her. Her face wasn't angry, but it was serious. "Can I sit?" she asked. I nodded. She walked in slowly and sat beside me. Then she looked at me long and deep, like she was trying to figure out how to begin. "I got a message yesterday," she said. "From Emily." I blinked. My chest tightened a little. "She wanted to see me," my mom continued. "She asked if we could talk." I wasn't going to go, but I did. I sat still. I didn't know how to feel. "She said she didn't want to go behind your back," Mom added quickly. "She said she wanted to explain herself to me. Woman to woman." Then she pressed play on her phone. It was a voice recording. Emily's voice filled the room. It was shaky. Soft. Like someone who had been crying. "Thank you for agreeing to see me, Ma," Emily said in the recording. "I don't even know how to begin. I need to say I'm sorry. I never wanted to come between you and your son. I didn't mean to be a problem. I didn't mean to make you feel unwelcome or unwanted." There was silence for a moment. Then Emily continued. I felt like I was being left behind. Every time we did something, he was always with you. You were everywhere. And I felt invisible. I know that sounds selfish. I know now how wrong I was. But at the time, I didn't know how to say it the right way. So I said the wrong thing. The worst thing. And I lost him. Her voice cracked. I just thought, if I said something strong, it would start a real conversation. I thought he would explain. We would talk. We'd find a balance. I didn't think he would walk away completely. The recording paused for a second, and I heard my mom's voice next. "I understand what you're saying. But Emily, you don't know what it means to raise a child alone." The pain in my mom's voice caught me by surprise. I had never heard her sound like that before. I was 22 when I had him. His father left before he was even born. I had no help. No money. I worked cleaning jobs, hospital shifts, laundromats, anything. I slept on buses sometimes. There were nights I didn't eat, just so he could. I was young. I was scared. And many times I wanted to give up. But I didn't. Her voice was strong but emotional. Words can't explain what I went through. I almost lost my life trying to make sure he had won. There was another pause. So when you came into his life, she continued, I prayed you would love him the way I did. Not compete with me. I saw how you looked when I was around. I saw how you pulled him away slowly. You created a competition where there was none. My son is my son. Forever. Even if I'm not around him, he will always be mine. Emily's voice came back. I was wrong, she whispered. I see that now. And I'm sorry. Then Mom asked her a question that made my heart skip. If you have a child someday, and someone tells them to choose between you and their love interest, how would you feel? Emily was quiet for a long moment. Then she said, I would be broken. I'm not asking you to fix this, Mom said gently in the recording. I'm not asking you to force anything. I will talk to him, but I won't force him. When he told me you gave him that condition, I told him to do what his heart said. I didn't stop him. I won't stop him now either. The recording ended. My mom turned off the phone and looked at me. I told her I would play it for you. I'm not telling you what to do. I just want you to hear it and decide. I was quiet. I stared at the floor for a long time. My heart was heavy. I'll think about it, I finally said. Mom touched my shoulder. Whatever you choose, I love you. And then she left the room. I sat there for hours. Not moving. Not talking. Just feeling everything. I remembered the fights. The pain. The feeling of betrayal. But I also remembered the good times. The laughter. The moments that felt like magic. I didn't know what to do. But deep down, I knew I had to talk to her. Just once. Not to get back together. Not to fix anything. Just to have closure. So I texted her. Let's talk. Tomorrow? She replied instantly. Yes. Yes. Anytime. Please. We agreed to meet at a small cafe by the lake. It was quiet. Peaceful. I got there first. Sat by the window. Watched the water move slowly under the sun. When she walked in, my heart skipped. She looked different. Older. Maybe not in age. But in spirit. Like she had seen something. Felt something. Learned something. She smiled nervously and sat down. Hi, she said softly. Hi, I replied. There was silence. Then she took a deep breath. I know I'm the last person you want to see. But thank you. Thank you for this. I nodded. I heard the recording, I said. What you told my mom. She looked down. I meant every word. I know, I said. We talked for over an hour. About everything. The past. The pain. The things we never said. She told me about her childhood. Her mom. The coldness. The fear. The way she never felt good enough. And how it shaped her. I listened. Really listened. Then she said, I know I ruined us. I wish I could go back. I looked at her. And I was honest. I don't feel the same anymore. She looked away. I'm not angry, I continued. Something broke. And I don't think we can go back. Not to what we had. Not to who we were. Tears filled her eyes. But, I said, I forgive you. Completely. And I want to be your friend. If you want that too. She wiped her eyes. I'd love that, she said. I may not be the man who marries you, I added, but I'll be the friend who shows up when you need someone. I'll cheer for you. I'll support you. You'll always have a piece of my heart, just not the part meant for a husband. She smiled, even through the tears. And you'll find someone, I said. Someone who loves you in all the ways you need. Maybe more than I ever could. She reached out and held my hand. Thank you, she whispered. We sat there. Quiet. At peace. And in that moment, I realized something. Some stories don't end with a kiss. Some stories end with understanding. With growth. With two people walking away, better than they were. And that was enough. After the cafe meeting, we stepped outside together. The air was calm, and the sun was slowly going down, coloring the sky with soft pink and gold. Emily and I stood by the lake for a while, watching the water move. I felt something I hadn't felt in a long time with her, peace. She wasn't the same person who gave me an ultimatum. And I wasn't the same man who would have begged her to stay. We had both grown. In pain. In silence. In distance. I turned to her and smiled. So, what have you been up to? She chuckled softly. You mean since the war? I laughed. Yeah, I said, since everything fell apart. She took a deep breath. A lot, actually. After we broke up, I spent weeks crying. I couldn't even go to work. But one day I woke up and said, "You can't cry forever." So I got up and started doing things. I listened quietly. I started therapy, she said. Real therapy. I talked about my mom, my fears, everything. Then I picked up painting again. I hadn't painted in years. I even sold 2 of my pieces online. I smiled. That's amazing. She shrugged shyly. I also signed up for a course in childhood development. I'm not sure where it's going, but I feel like it's something I care about. Then she looked at me. What about you? She asked. I nodded slowly. Still working with the nonprofit. Speaking at youth centers. My mom and I are actually planning a scholarship fund for single mothers. We've been talking to a few investors. Her face lit up. That's beautiful. Really. I looked at her, and the moment felt light, not heavy. Then I asked, Would you like to have dinner with my mom? Emily blinked. Dinner? Yeah, I said, smiling. Just a small one. Nothing serious. Just us. My mom misses you. She laughed nervously. She told you that? No, I said, but I know her. She'd love it. Emily smiled slowly. I'd like that. So I pulled out my phone and called Mom. She answered on the first ring. Hey, baby. Hey, Mom, I said. Are you home this evening? Of course, she said. Why? I was wondering if Emily and I could come by. For dinner. There was a pause. Then a soft gasp. You're together? Not like that, I said quickly. We talked. We're good. We want to see you. Oh my goodness, she whispered. Yes. Yes, come. I'll make something. I don't even know what. I'll figure it out. Come, both of you. I chuckled. Then she added, Wait. Let me talk to her. I handed the phone to Emily. Hello, Ma, Emily said gently. Emily, Mom said warmly. Oh, my sweet girl. It's good to hear your voice. Emily's eyes watered. It's good to hear yours too. I can't wait to see you, Mom said. Don't worry, I won't embarrass you. I'll try not to cry. Emily laughed. It's okay if you do. They talked for another minute. Then Emily handed the phone back to me. Come soon, Mom said. I'll be waiting. We ended the call and headed to my car. Dinner that evening was warm, calm, and full of light. Mom made roast chicken, mashed potatoes, and her famous peach pie. The kitchen smelled like home. When Emily and I walked in, Mom hugged her so tight, I thought she might never let go. You look thinner, Mom said, holding her cheeks. Emily smiled. I've been painting. Then paint your way to a buffet, Mom teased. Come eat. We sat, laughed, and shared stories like old times. It wasn't awkward. It wasn't forced. It was 3 people who had been through fire and come out better. After dessert, Emily and I sat on the porch with Mom. She looked at both of us, a quiet smile on her face. So, she said gently, are you 2 okay now? Emily and I looked at each other. Then I spoke. We're okay, I said. We talked. We cried. And we forgave each other. But, Emily added, we're not going back to being partners. My mom looked surprised. We decided to become best friends, I explained. Nothing more. But it's a choice we're happy with. Mom was quiet for a moment. Then she nodded. Well, she said, if that's your decision, I respect it. Emily smiled. But, Mom added with a twinkle in her eye, if someday you both feel something different, something new, don't be afraid to try again. We laughed. No pressure, she said, holding her hands up. I love you both. And I'll support you either way. Emily leaned in and hugged her. Thank you, Ma. I leaned back and breathed deeply. The night was still. The stars were out. And for once, everything in my heart felt steady. No more questions. No more anger. No more pain. Just peace. Sometimes life doesn't give you what you expect. Sometimes love doesn't look like the movies. But if you're lucky, it gives you healing. It gives you clarity. It gives you friendship after the storm. And sometimes that's more than enough. If this story moved you in any way, please take a moment to subscribe to Spesh Stories right here on YouTube. We share stories that touch the soul. Stories about pain, love, sacrifice, healing, and finding peace after chaos. Because sometimes the most powerful stories aren't the ones with a happy ending, but the ones with honest beginnings and brave choices. Thank you for watching. And until next time, stay strong, stay kind, and always cherish those who truly love you.